Hey everybody, welcome to episode 97, I think, of Tactical Crouch. We're a competitive Overwatch podcast. I'm KickedTripod, joined of course by Yiska and Volamel. Lots to talk about today. Before we get into it though, a few pieces of housekeeping. We're gonna just jump right in. First, show is completely supported by our, not completely, but largely supported by our patrons. Go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch if you want to support. Also, we're striving, diving, and driving toward partners. So if you want to join us for our live shows, Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays at noon, we do Tactical Crouch and Spike Drop. Even if you're able to just come and chill with us, even if you're not totally able to be there, it helps a ton to have those concurrent viewers, and we appreciate you a ton for being here. That's twitch.tv/KickedTripod. Other than that, though, we're going to just jump right into the show. Yiska, is it okay we just jump in? Can we just do that?
Sure.
That's it? All right, we're going to do it. But first, we do need to thank our patron producers. Battlecry Pin, Loshin, Charlie L, Audio Compass, Pork Chop Sammy, Kasha67, Coochie Kopi, Salsa Boy 91, Shara Picasso, Naftali, and Your Misery. I think that was the best one yet. That
so much air left.
That might have been. Oh, yeah. I could have done it twice. I bet you I could do it twice. We'll see at the end of the show if we can do it
corona
twice.
detected.
All right. So we do need to get into a big piece of news. And you know what, Joe? I noticed that recently there's been some kind of bittersweet and sad things going on in the Overwatch League. And it's caused people to go, hey, you're really bumming me out. We've got something for that now. So if we're going to be talking about something that's kind of a bummer, not only are the timestamps available on YouTube, but so make sure to check out the video description for that. But you're also going to see this.
You're being such a bummer.
That's how you know that we're about to be bummers. And
nice.
we're about to be bummers here.
Nice.
All right. So if you've been living under, that took way longer than it should have. Let's be real.
I can imagine. Yeah.
They're like, how do you not have time to watch Overwatch League matches, but then you have time to put that together? And to that
production
point,
value.
To that point, I say fair point.
Can we have it alternating with my face and like Yiska Ayaya?
No.
Dang it.
It's you, buddy.
Look, you're the meme of this podcast, clearly. From doo-doo to
it's true. I really am
predicting Chengdu to like your
Yiska is
top meme quality.
Yiska is our thumbnail meme.
True.
It's usually in like a good light though. He's like
Yiska,
holding kebabs.
I don't know if that is good. I don't know. Like I don't think Chengdu Joe is bad in any way.
Well, you know, some people would claim otherwise.
All right. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the 2019 Overwatch League MVP, world champion Sinatraa has announced that he is leaving the Shock effective immediately. Has joined the Sentinels as a Valorant player and streamer and content creator. I feel like we should just put this right here again.
You're being such a bummer.
Just milk it. Get it all out.
We're gonna get it there. So he's leaving effective immediately. In fact, he flew out of LA.
Did he really?
And has arrived in Texas as of this morning. Per his Q&A yesterday, he said he was leaving. He had a flight at 5 a.m. this morning. So pretty quick turnaround. And he's just like, well, you know, The shock
Well,
don't
time
want
like
to
the present, I guess.
the shock don't want to pay for my housing if I'm gonna go play another sport for another org. Because it makes total sense. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. Joe, did you expect that in this year of our Lord 2020, we would have somebody of the caliber of Sinatraa leaving the scene?
I think it is a little surprising that somebody like Sinatraa that is so kind of beloved, that has, an MVP skin on the way, that is, a former MVP and a champion, and, a person who's really made a name for themselves in this game. It was surprising to me that he or that caliber of person would leave as soon as they did. But does it surprise me? I think it would be intellectually dishonest to say no, right? It doesn't surprise me. It's a symptom of what we've been kind of ranting and raving about for a while now. It's a problem with the game, its identity, and how quickly it changes, and how tiresome it gets when the queues are so long, and just playing the game doesn't have the same feel to it anymore, and even just playing the game takes forever because of the queues, and now you can't even play the heroes you want to play, but now you can, and it's just this back and forth tug of war, and it just gets tiring. I can't sympathize enough with the players. I won't ever understand what they went through, and how that really has to deal with them. But if I can feel it just with content creation and stuff like that and writing, I can only imagine like the scale that they were dealing with it. And I'm sure this isn't the only person to leave. I'm sure there's a plenty of beloved people that you like with this game that would be lying if they said they weren't looking at Valorant or looking at like Diabolical or whatever game may lay on the horizon and going, well, looks kind of interesting, looks kind of fun. I might have to give that a look. Like it's just a symptom of what's going on right now. And yeah, it sucks to see him go. Hats off to him. Enjoyed his play since Selfless and the monthly melees, but I think it's probably best for everybody. It's best to see him go out there and chase after something again with Valorant. It's best, and for his mental health. COVID's not doing anybody any favors, and just doing something you're not liking right now probably not good for you. So it's a weird, I'm in like a weird wake area of emotions where it's like I'm happy for you. Go out there, experience it. You're still young. Get after it. If you still have that itch for competition and Overwatch isn't scratching it, maybe Valorant can. Go out there, get it. I'm about it.
I do need to say that the San Francisco Shock have, I think, handled it about as well as they you would want to see them. I mean, what are they going to do, right? They're not going to
how much
step all over the guy, but there's nothing but like positive vibes and well wishes from Andy Miller, Corey, who's kind of like the VP over the Shock part, talking about the importance of just their player happiness. There is an interesting thing where people are like, well, he wasn't playing anyway, and you could take this for what it's worth. There is so Super on his stream last night did say, he goes, Sinatraa was supposed to play, and they wanted to play him more. Krusty did, but just notice that his drive for the game wasn't there. And Sinatraa said that as soon as 222 came out, that's when he started falling out of love with the game. So he had said that, and I don't know. It was really interesting to kind of hear his thoughts on how the game has changed over time. There's definitely not something here. This is not something where Sinatraa wasn't. You can't spin this. I don't think you can. You can't spin this that Sinatraa wasn't good enough in any of the current metas to not get played.
Yeah, no, that's laughable.
It's just not.
That's a dumbass take.
We've had plenty of Doomfist, weeks where Doomfist was open that they could have played Doom. He just wasn't in it. His heart, his brain, his person, his avatar of meat on this physical plane was not there. He wasn't here. He was trying to, figure out where he wanted to be. He was soul searching, and it wasn't here.
Yeah.
That's, by the way, also, like you said earlier, something like it's better for everyone. And in my mind, I was like going, well, it's not that good for Overwatch, is it? It's not that good for us. But then again,
in the long run, I don't know.
No, the thing is, in comparison to someone like an MVP playing this game without the passion, and then also likely the following performances. That is the reality we have to contrast it against. And you cannot force love. You absolutely positively cannot.
That's why we all hate each other on this show.
True.
You can't force it.
And the notion that he was benched for... I actually have known that this was a distinct possibility for a while. And the notion that he was benched because of performance is unreal. And honestly, makes me question if people pay close attention to a player this great in terms of his career trajectory. The story is very similar to a lot of players in the Overwatch League, where it is this kid was good at everything he put his mind to. Whatever the coach said, please play this, and had a definitive idea and gave them a solid amount of time to grind into, he became elite world-class at.
Yeah.
That was true. Okay, Tracer, of course, that was the thing. Then Zarya, don't give me like, yeah, he was good. Zarya pre-Overwatch League. Zarya changed so much. Like, there's no way that there's like the idea is that that's still different. The same requirement. It's not. Yeah. Then he suddenly has a Doom. Like, we initially thought of him as like a hit scan player. It really isn't. I can still not tell you what kind of a
Zarya hit scan
DPS role he falls into. He is the role of DPS of give him a task and he's going to accomplish it at the top percentile of even among the best players in the league. And while his May was probably not that level at the start of the season, we also quickly found out why that is. And I hope we can think of his legacy in that way. Someone that was very toxic at certain parts in his career, during solo queue especially, to my knowledge, never towards his teammates, but then improved as a person, came out in terms of his ability, like his hero pool improved, but he also added leadership to his entire repertoire of skills, and then also became a better personality. And let's not forget, also represented us in front of the world, in front of the Jimmys, the Kimmels, the Fallons. So, and then he turned 20, right? Like, there's a lot to cherish in his career, and I'll definitely follow him in Valorant.
100%
for that.
Excited to see that.
And it sucks that we're losing him for Overwatch, but
100%.
At the same time, there is not an alternative situation where, like, if that is just like, if he cannot love that, what Overwatch currently is, there's no changing it. And
You
it's
have to
fine.
respect that.
Then sometimes people or things develop away from each other and they're not compatible anymore.
Yep.
So they don't love each other anymore. That's how it goes.
Yep.
And there's no moral obligation for them.
No. There's no responsibility. There's no, I owe, these players, these people, again, people, kids in some cases, that they owe it to the public or they owe it to somebody else. They don't owe it. They don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
They're here to do a job. They're not interested in doing the job anymore. The org isn't interested in paying them. They mutually split ways. That's how business works. And you go separate ways. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, is it bad optics? Sure, 100%.
So
it's best to get them out now, right? You don't want people to linger around and just have a bad time with them.
I'm going to say something here. And I don't know if right now in the middle of a season is the best time for Overwatch League or for Sinatraa to be leaving. I think it looks a lot.
When is it?
At the end of the season.
Why?
Because
to destroy his legacy.
I mean, at the same time, like, I don't know, like, don't quit halfway through something that you commit to. I don't
don't change the game on people when they committed to you. Very easy.
Fair. I don't disagree with that. I don't. And again, the only thing I'm saying is I don't think in the middle of the season is the best time.
No, it's 100% not. It's like general statement.
Yes,
I agree with that.
If he could have known in the off season, then yeah.
Yeah, 100%. This is a symptom of a game. Don't. This isn't a Sinatraa problem. This is a game problem.
And I totally agree with that. I'm not trying to, like, I don't need all the sports arguments. I don't need all the, like, that. It's just like, there's something about a season is, think of it as a chapter. Sure. Quitting in the middle of the chapter, even if overall it can be, you can make the argument that it's better for everybody. It doesn't look good. And there is and I think Backpack Mac said this, and I didn't totally love his total framing of it, but, you know, brought up a guy on a championship team leaving in the middle of the season for a completely different game in beta is weird. Now, I mean, again, that's 100% on the game. If I was an owner, honestly, I'd be like, nah, son, we're finishing this out. We're finishing this season. But
I mean, yeah, you can say that, but it's like, okay, well, I'm just not going to try. Then what? You have a player that's on your roster that's just not willing to do anything. What do you do with him? Do you just let him sit there and you pay a roster slot that's not doing anything for you, or you let him go and you part ways amicably?
I don't see any reason why you can't J-Hong him.
There's more of a leadership hole that he's ripping into the Shock, right? Like, in terms of players, like, people rightfully say they are so stacked. One of the DPS going is not a problem, and I agree. And apparently, to a degree, the Shock thought the same. So, but to the Backpack Matt comment, I think the idea is completely wrong. But. Big but. Okay, no pun. You have to empathize with people in the Overwatch League who are doing their utmost to make this a success, who work just as tirelessly as players, who aren't at fault for what's going on, who are legitimately top tier, if not the best in the Overwatch scene. Yep. Seeing this and lacking the ability to change anything about what's happening. And this is an event that makes the emotions that have built up over the dwindling viewership numbers, over certain decisions, over community reception, over people jumping in and trying to get an own in, like, just like a cheap haha on you. They have my full empathy that this absolutely sucks for them. Like, it is a problem that is not their fault. So in that regard, I was never mad at Matt. I thought the take was a weird one, but I felt honestly really sad about the really extraordinarily hardworking people in the Overwatch League. And I think it should be taken as such.
I really don't think we have a precedent to see a game be changed this much in esports. And maybe I'm, green in that take. Maybe that's a naive take from me, but I feel like I've consumed enough to really say that this game has put these players through a rigmarole for 3 seasons now. I can imagine you'd get tired of it. I can imagine you'd get tired of the lack of communication, all of the problems we've talked over these 97 episodes. just constantly berating you over and over and weighing on you. And then there's just this grass is greener. You know, this new neighbor shows up and dang, dude, I don't know. It sucks here. Maybe it's nicer over there. I don't know, but I'm willing to give it a chance. That's where we're at. Not with everybody. Not with everybody. There are some staunch Overwatch. I like the game, and that's great. We need those people. But for those who are, you know, who are tired of it, I get it. And I sympathize and I respect the decision to venture elsewhere. I really don't have much else to say. It sucks. I'm sad to see him go, you know, to Sinatraa. But the show must go on.
You know, Sinatraa he just turned 20 a month ago.
Yeah.
He's a young guy, but if you're going to pivot in esports,
do it while you're young.
You got to do it. You got to do it quick. Once your age starts with the 2, you know, you're no longer young Mr. 150K, no. Right? Like that's something that goes. Like
feels like 20 is like middle age.
I don't doubt that this was the right thing.
What are you talking about, you absolute zoomers? Like, that's
tell me in esports, like 20-year-olds are like, I don't know, you might as well just be pushing 40 if you're 20. You got people saying like, you know, it feels very
20
like
is the
33
of esports.
Yeah, it feels like you're getting to the twilight of your career when you're 20.
You're so into Overwatch.
Your prime. 20 is your prime.
I'm just saying within Overwatch.
Like I would say 20 is your prime in where you have the emotional and mental maturity combined with the young dexterity that you need to compete. And so if he's going to take a ton of money, which by the way, like if you really think about it, like this is something I brought up in Discord yesterday. Any esport at any time, any AAA developer, any like a tier 1 esports organization can walk up to you with a multi-million-dollar contract. Any of them can, and they can take one. Right. So Sinatraa, like the fact that Sinatraa is leaving here, like, yes, it's a big boon and stuff like that. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden all these players are going to be leaving for multi-million-dollar contracts. And I guarantee you these are huge, huge contracts. And esports, everybody's just chucking money in. We don't like to talk about it very much because it's so stupid. But they're chucking. I'm hearing like average contract right now is like $10K for a Valiant contract a month on top of housing, just for playing a game that's in beta, 3 weeks old. Right. So there's like with a guy like Sinatraa, you're paying huge money. You're paying huge money on top of the fact that they're just going to be a content creator for a while. Right. So I don't doubt it's the right thing for him. You're falling out of love with the game. The league at points has some very concerning actions surrounding the long-term viability of it. Fans aren't tuning in. You know, we're down to 30, 25K on some of these even NA matches. Like that's all going down. Sinatraa, I don't blame him for a second for saying he has to get out. And I honestly think that the capital that he loses quitting mid-season is more than made up for the fact that he's not playing Overwatch. Like,
I think most people outside of esports are probably like very lenient and any kind of like social capital loss. They're like, well, not doing so
hot. To be fair, people outside of esports aren't signing his checks in the future.
100%.
But I did have a I mean, there's the money right now in Valorant. If you're getting poached to go play Valorant, the contracts are much larger than Overwatch League. That's not a hot take. That's just an obvious matter of fact. I did snag a few other highlights from his stream. He was asked if he would ever come back. And he said if Overwatch 2 revives the game and Valorant isn't doing well, maybe, but he doesn't see it happen, sees Overwatch 2 largely as a cosmetic update with PvE. There you go. You said hero pools caused the meta to change too much to feel like you're improving, and fun heroes getting banned made the game not fun. And I'm paraphrasing, by the way. Go watch the Q&A if you want like the exact verbatim. He said Overwatch League heavily restricted sponsors since there were so many conflicts, so that expect him to sell out on his stream, which was interesting. He said Overwatch 2 needs more heroes and PvP updates. He wants 222 to be taken out and says nobody likes it and he's never liked it. That's a direct quote. He'll stream 1 to 2 times per week of Overwatch. And he didn't answer specifically why he didn't join NRG's Valorant team. He just said, I can't answer
probably
that.
a business. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like how do you think you look like in front of the Overwatch League if NRG just shoves the MVP to their NRG team? By the way, I would have loved to see that because with Dizzy and Ace, that would have been a sick team. But
super great. I also don't know, like there's clauses where they can't go play for other organizations represented in the Overwatch League, and I wonder if that includes your own organization in a different.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
In a different.
Game. I think that's, by the way, a thing we should clarify because I think a lot of people were confused, and it was also probably not publicly discussed that at that range, but like. The way how ESPN worded it was a little confusing, but then in combination with him being picked up by Sentinels. Mm. Now Sentinels, a lot of people go, wait, that's who runs Gladiators, right? Nope, no. They don't. They don't anymore. So that's why it works and why it isn't a problem.
Yep.
But I think they're a good org in general. Definitely, like. That's also a thing that I think it was talked about already, but like Gladiators, like the ownership was definitely a little special there. There was a lawsuit involved in all of that. So, but yeah, for instance, like XQC is under contract with them, for instance, for those that realize, like
Booga still with
Booga, the Fortnite guy. So yeah, these they have pretty big contracts and are also very competent at what they're doing. So you should be well taken care of there. And then, and then of course, Evolved Agency also tweeted that they're looking at all of this and assisting in that time. So we're good, like from that side.
Yeah, from the individual side, he's great. For the league, though, I don't know. It doesn't really dwindle the excitement that I have for like the May tournament. Hopefully, that is a resounding success. But again. It seems like we take a step forward and then there's, 30 landmines laid behind us that, one of them just happens to go off because of, again, symptoms of problems that we've kind of drudged on about. So I won't get too much into it.
This isn't the final nail in the coffin, but it feels like recently there's a lot of swings of the hammer. And I really hope that we start seeing Blizzard on the other side of the coffin, like, coming in and pulling some of those nails out. Yeah, that's what we really are hoping to see. I think that's what everybody wants to see. And this is, I had one more thought on this, and this is kind of a bummer thought. I'm gonna be real. If the players aren't enjoying playing the game at all, and I know Sinatra's not the only one, and there are players who are also really enjoying the game and really like it. But as more and more players.
Yes.
As more and more players come forward and saying that they're not enjoying the game, but the fans, I feel like, are more and more saying that they're enjoying watching the variety from hero pools and 222 and those types of things. At what point does it become a zoo?
I think it already has.
That's also like it makes me wild how that thing is always confused. Like. Sinatraa says, in my personal opinion, or in my personal experience, rather, 222 was bad for me because I couldn't play the heroes I wanted because he can and because he's the best Zarya in the world, or with Soonsu at the time. And he has to wait an hour to practice.
Just to play the game.
So that, of course, he isn't describing or making a statement about your experience or if it's good for the game or not. He's talking about himself. Why are you cussing him out? Of course, like I would be the first one to admit that 2-2 was great for like the solo queue experience. Yeah. Now, okay, let's bring it back towards a positive thing, because I think this is a high note that we gotta end on. It always gets worse and then it gets better, right? And I think it will get even a little worse.
Oh yeah, this is only like the start of the storm.
So I'm not sure how much more worse it gets, but it will get worse.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have to recognize these problems we're facing now are things we did 1.5, 2 years ago, where we decided, like, let's not introduce a lot of things and let's have a stagnation. Let's not build up on the second tier theme. Like, let's not explore necessarily what is good for the future of the game. And now we're rushing out all these new changes. The game is changing so rapidly. It's not like we're the frogs just sitting there while they turn up the temperature on us and we don't recognize. No, it's like big change, big change, big change. And our perception of the game also lags behind the actual quality. That is the unfortunate reality of human psychology. The same is true for player skill. Someone is very good, it is not recognized, and then like the wave a little bit later comes where the recognition is there, and then like once they drop off, the recognition is, oh, he's still a good player. So for instance, that's the Sabiobi arc right now, where like the reputation lags behind. The same thing is true here. I think we don't realize that or we don't value that the effects of or the things that we have put in the game have not yet really been appreciated to the point. But if you look at the objective data, I can pretty much guarantee you that the rank play numbers are up. That is a proxy value of who will get interested in the Overwatch League. But that is not happening now. If I am now starting to play ranked, I'm not concerned about like learning what the best players in the game are doing, right? Mm-hmm. So that comes
just
down
getting
the
back
line.
into
That
the
effect,
game.
yes, it lags behind.
Sure.
So once we are once again on top of our wave and are sailing actually from the contributions of the workshop, the replay system, 2-2-2 roll lock, arguably hero pools, like if you guys like that, right? Whatever. But because it's so harsh and it's not being turned up at us, but we're getting thrown into the hot water immediately, that's where the incompatibility issues lie and where people say, I cannot live with that sudden change. If we had accustomed them 1.5 years ago, I think it would have been different. And the good thing is that means we have Overwatch 2 on the horizon. I think they have demonstrated with how they talked about the experimental cards in terms of like the length of CC and stuff like that. Like the Jeff Kaplan post was, we're looking at that and have an idea towards Overwatch 2. That very much implies that this isn't a PvE patch, but it is a system change in certain regards, right?
It is.
They are thinking about this. So there is more than just like, oh, Overwatch 2. Like there might be actually changes. There are heroes that are coming in.
Sure.
There are like the homestands stuff is starting up. Hopefully, if we,
hopefully.
I mean,
knock on wood.
Yeah. I mean, if not, we have bigger problems than the Overwatch League not working.
100%.
And once we write this out, and it does suck at the moment. It sucks so much. Like, I was writing this article crying like a baby today, just looking at what season 2 was, just like looking at the moment when they lose the Stage 1 finals.
Yeah.
And Sinatraa throws up his hand in the air, goes like this. And the first look isn't towards his teammates. He's looking towards the Titans and takes in what their ecstatic
what their
emotion is of that. And it feels like this is the moment the greatness of this team is born, where it's like, nobody's ever going to make us feel this again.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
And I want these moments back. I want them back. And I hope the tournament brings exactly that back.
Hopefully we get like an essence of it. Yeah, I don't think we'll get the whole thing. We won't get like the stage 1 battle, the stage 2 battle, the finals battle. But we'll hopefully, the idea is that we'll get an essence of it and it'll, give us the revitalization to kind of continue.
It was really interesting. Sinatraa was just like, number one, the highlight of his career, like obviously winning grand finals was huge, but it was beating the Titans. And you could tell, right? Like you could tell in the moment, like seeing that energy, and the crowd loved it. Like Overwatch is really, those moments are amazing for Overwatch.
Yeah.
They're incredible. They'll make Yiska cry. Yiska will cry.
Yeah. I will cry.
And creating those moments is something that the Overwatch League team, I hope to see, continues to try to do more often. Finding ways to make these special moments, finding ways to, and create stories like we had with Sinatraa coming up as a 17-year-old kid, can't play for the beginning of season 1, 150K. People are all hyped about it. All that kind of stuff. Like, think of that storyline. Those are the storylines that make Overwatch League a compelling esport. We need those, and we need to retain those as best as we can. And I hope that we continue to. But at the same time, don't fool yourself for a second. Anybody can be poached at any time if the price is right, and
especially
it's the best
right
thing.
now.
I think of like Ninja going to Mixer. Like, there's no way he's making as much on Mixer as he is as he did on Twitch, like from like that perspective. But he's still making a ton more, like, and it's like, is the right move for him? He can always come back after it's over. So I don't know. I think we're gonna learn a lot more about kind of how things are changing with Overwatch League as time goes on, because we've never run out of things to talk about yet. I'll tell you that much.
Plenty of things.
So let's craft the narratives so those can have a payoff once they happen later in this season.
And
I think, like,
Overwatch,
I'm over just being fed up with Liverpool's. It's Stockholm syndrome me. So I can now engage like what is actually the storylines there, because some teams are actually very consistent in that. We have pretty cool storylines to get into. I think we should make an effort to point them out also in the preview now, and just live with it and move on. What else are you going to do now?
There's really not much you can do. You just have to accept that the crop harvest is going to be a little shallow, and you make do with what you have, and hope for the summer to bring you some favor. Let's say
my crops
hopefully
are
the summer
also
brings
shallow.
some good things. Well,
I mean
you need some
crops.
fiber in your diet.
I was very confused. But
all right, let's do a little preview.
You're being such a bummer.
Thanks to Katie, by the way, for doing that VO this morning at like 8 a.m. So nice of her. All right, we've got a ton of matches to talk about, and there's a ton going on, right? We're starting our May Madness tournament this week.
I'm glad that's sticking. Please keep running that. Overwatch League, please brand it as May Madness, because it needs to be.
They did, right?
I don't think so.
Wait, I swear I read that somewhere. It might not have been the Overwatch.
No, it's like quoted as like a title of the announcement article, but I don't think they're running it. At least to my knowledge,
I thought they were
it's
calling
not
it the May
being
Madness.
branded.
Anyways,
Possibly. Hopefully.
We just trademarked it, and now they have to pay us. May Madness. The first thing we should probably talk about. So no hero pools, right, for the next month. No hero pools.
No, I think that's just for the
not month. No, only for the 3-day tournament.
Only for the 3-day tournament. So the next 3 weeks we have hero pools. Okay, that makes so much more sense. But the big thing in here is Echo is going to be playable. Joe, let's just start here before we get into the actual individual matches.
Sure.
Do you expect us to see some Echo this weekend?
So I do think Echo will be played. I am not confident in her position as a meta staple or a must pick on every single map. I think certain teams will view her in that light. But the fact that the Rush archetype in its entirety, for the most part, barring McCree, is available, I think that benefits a lot of different teams. So it's going to be about fitting Echo within that. And I think that can happen. It probably will happen. But if you're expecting Echo to be played in every game, every match, every map, that's probably unlikely. I think that she will be featured this week in like a solid amount of the games and a solid amount of the maps, but I don't think she'll be played every map. I'm kind of eyeing very enclosed, brawly, short range, close quarters maps like, Lijiang Tower Control Center, Oasis University, Eichenwald Last, maps that are really, really tight and don't allow her to kind of like really make any kind of movement. That's going to limit her. And I think there's going to be picks that are just kind of better, that she'll kind of be rotated out, but she'll be featured on a lot of maps. She will be used, but I don't think she'll be as dominant as people expect her to. I do think, however, that certain teams that are more more styled to kind of go after dive, I think that is open as well. But I do wonder how Echo does against a character like a Winston. I really don't. I wonder if that's kind of subtly pushed him back into being not a hero much anymore. I don't know exactly what info you've gotten on your front, Yiska, but interested to hear.
Yeah, actually, nobody has come back to me, so I can only like assume. Okay. And of course, I wouldn't share like strategies of specific teams. Like if a region is just like everyone runs it, might as well, right? Like I'm not hurting anyone. With that said, it's a strange thing where it's like, I think to a degree it's an equalizer, like, once again, in terms of like, if I'm an underperforming team or like one of the lower half, I'm trying, dude. I'm trying this, especially now in the current situation. Who was the support band? It was Mercy, right?
Yes, Mercy, which I think does hinder her, but I don't know how much, because when you look at that Echo tournament, and again, I'll be the first to tell you that I don't put a ton of stock into that, but it's the really only stock we have. Wasn't used a whole lot deep in that tournament. It was more like Lucio Brig, Moira, Lucio. Like, she was fine on her own.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, maybe chat can correct me, I'm pretty sure she was nerfed, like her pulse or the sticky nades were nerfed for the live patch. So she is tuned a little bit down. I really don't think that the Mercy ban really affects her. I don't think like the McCree Widow is like really all that impactful, especially now with the advent of Ashe and people really like buying into we can play Ashe. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
But
it's
Ashe
not like all of the hits
most of the time needs a Mercy, right? And
that's true.
Also, like, I mean, Ashe, you're not going to use it necessarily against Pharah or Echo, right?
Yeah, no.
Like, the good thing about her is that you can hit the dynamite. You're probably not trying to dynamite an Echo.
No.
Yeah. So, that is a question I have: are the counters there to make this work? And I think that question might be very map dependent, and also team dependent if they have one. That's nuts.
What I will say in regards to Echo, not to derail, I think she'll probably see a play rate increase by the end of the month when hero pools are removed, if her kit is truly like that busted. And I do believe that it is like very, very overtuned and probably strong, or very still strong. And with hero pools removed, I think that's when you start to see her like really take off, and like strategies with her in mind start to ramp up and become like abusive.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on how the bans might play out, or you can kind of cover both of them, I feel like.
Yeah, I think Rush is open. Rush is definitely going to get played. That kind of archetype, like Rhine Sigma, that double shield. I can see Orisa in some instances, maybe popping in at flex, maybe even at main for some teams like Atlanta. McCree being out hasn't stopped people before. May's still open. Widowmaker really has been kind of a non-factor, and Mercy's kind of just form Pharah and maybe the Ashe, even though I think you can get away with Ashe. And Wrecking Ball, weirdly enough, I think it's a hot take. It's kind of coming right off the dome, but I think Wrecking Ball might have been like a better dive tank this patch because of Echo, if she's going to be that good. whereas Winston like just gets shredded.
But he's
Wrecking
banned,
Ball might
right?
have been better,
Mm.
right? But he's banned, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Like Dive may have taken a hit there. So we'll see. I do expect like a team like Houston, a team like Toronto to not necessarily benefit, but I think they'll try their hand at trying, continue playing Dive. Again, we saw Houston last week still be able to pull it off and to a surprisingly, strong degree. So I think this will be a fun week. It'll be open. I think people are going to be willing to try a bunch of stuff.
So let's talk about some of these matches here, and let's hop to North America games first. And one of the first ones that kind of stood out, I'll be honest, these aren't my favorite games as far as
Kind
having
of a straightforward
top
week.
teams versus top teams or whatever. But there is one that was kind of interesting and close: Dallas Fuel versus the Washington Justice. Now the Washington Justice are odds on favorites right now, 53-47. Over the Dallas Fuel. How do you?
How?
That seems.
Yo,
that
esports
seems,
odds are nuts.
that seems bad to me. That seems wrong.
That's free money.
It is. That's like the easiest Dallas to win. I think that's come on. What?
Yeah.
Not
And
the
we
easiest,
have
but
Echo, like Corey. Like this is one of those things where I expect like a player like Corey or Stratus just to have like a stupid nuts Echo. But barring that happening, yeah, I just don't see it.
No, don't say it.
And even then, it probably wouldn't even be Stratus on. Probably Tuba running Echo.
I don't know. Probably, maybe. I also thought that he was going to see a lot more play time. I thought that after like week 4 or 5, with them just like being the Corey show, that they probably would have shifted gears, but hasn't really been the case, and they really haven't found much success. So I don't know what's going on in the Justice camp.
But
It's not good.
I don't know. Like, I mean, what are these stats numbers to you? Like for me, it's like I'm like mid 60s for Dallas. I feel like maybe closer to 60-40, but like I feel like 65-35.
I'd say 60-40 Dallas.
65, yeah.
But it's definitely Dallas favorite. There's no
Yeah,
way that I could argue that like this is Justice favorite.
No.
Not a chance.
Arguably, it could be even more. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could even go to 70 without feeling too bad about it.
Sure.
Yeah, the
I think
Justice-
what brings me down is like Echo, the volatility that brings.
Sure.
Yeah, that's good. What's interesting is the Washington Justice, like I think are still kind of put in this place where I'm like, there's like the and this is probably me reading into it, but I just like every time I see comments about Justice, there's always like this underlying optimism. They're 2-8 right now with a .324 map win percentage.
Yeah,
Their
team's bad.
They are like they should be discussed along with the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, they're a bad team. Bottom 5.
They're better than
Again.
the Boston Uprising. They're bottom 2.
Sure.
I don't think it's close anywhere else. Like, do you put LA? Do you put LA Valiant
No,
below the Justice?
The next closest would
No,
probably
no,
for
no,
me
no.
be Toronto.
Yeah.
Not doing so hot.
That's fair.
Lost a coach.
Yeah.
Not doing great. Again, Justice like is very is a bad team, but has a couple good players, right? I like Elivo. I like Corey. Everybody else, Aim God, Arc could be better on a better team.
Old man weakness.
100%. Right? Like has good players. Nobody's saying that. Oh, Corey's bad. If you say Justice is bad, then Corey's bad. No, Corey's a great player on a bad team. Simple as that.
Totally true. And so the Dallas Fuel did play. Someone brought it up. Didn't the Fuel play the Justice not that long ago? They did. They 3-0'd the Justice with it was Sombra, Reaper, Diva, Anaban in this month, April. So
Yep.
it's man, I don't know. Take those odds if you can, but
Oh,
also
definitely.
don't. But I don't know legally.
Bet responsibly.
I don't know
Does that
legally what
count?
we can actually
That's-
tell you to do. So don't
Yeah.
take those
Is that
odds.
insider betting then? I'm not sure.
I mean, we're not giving any insider info. We're just as pundits voicing our opinion.
True.
You can listen.
But-
I feel like you can listen
but
to
you
like
are
there's plenty of betting
regularly-
podcasts.
Wait, but you receive 20% of their betting income, right? That's what you talk about whenever we.
That's what we should do. We should do.
Oh,
We
yeah,
should
of
do
course.
a
Yeah.
fantasy. We'll do an esports betting podcast and charge people like $2 a month.
I
to listen.
was pleasantly surprised with like the fantasy kind of podcast scene and like some of the stats that they were pulling out. Very interesting. Like if you're in that scene, like if you're interested in that, definitely go search that out because there's some actually like top tier content out there. So
yeah,
very interesting. Very
any
interesting
other
stuff.
of these? So like we're gonna go through these quickly, but I don't think that we're gonna have much to say.
Yeah.
The LA Valiant versus the Atlanta Reign.
Unlockers.
Yeah,
the deal.
that's rough. I think
You know
it
the deal.
could be interesting depending on if Valiant play any kind of hunter traps if you catch my drift. But yeah, I still think Atlanta wins that. I don't like they might be able to take a couple maps, but Atlanta like that's an easy favorite.
Yeah. I don't know. Yiska was flashing the V.
Yeah. You guys know the drill.
That's the problem. You got the V. That's it.
That's the two coaches. That's the Valiant. That's the Peace Boys.
Do you think it's a 70-30 Yiska in favor of Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I think
none of us want it to be though. Like
no.
For our show, for like the community's infatuation with Washington, I feel like that's the Valiant for us. We're like, yeah, but
agreed. Yeah, but it's based on like actual like that entire team has shown that they have the grit. They just don't have the resources.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the unlucky part. Like that's the college kid that is nuts at school but doesn't have the resources to do well.
Yeah.
So and that's the narrative that's with them, and I really hope that they can mobilize something like
a team that probably will be featuring a good amount of echo. Why? Because it's chaotic. You need to be able to sneak in these wins because again, these are qualifiers for the May Madness tournament. You need to do well here, which we'll get into hopefully with regards to Florida, because holy hell, did you get a golden pass with this strength of schedule, Florida?
Can I just for 1 second?
May Madness. Are you gonna? I feel like I should be with Echo. Yeah, exactly. Feels like I'm at a monster truck rally.
All right. Anyways, totally derailed that. But I just before you went on, I had to make sure.
No, it's fine. Yeah, sneak 'em in.
Had to make sure we did it.
I think Valiant could make it close. I think they'll probably run a good amount of echo. I don't expect Atlanta to be running a lot of echo. They feel very kind of stuck in the mud. Not in a bad way, but like they have a very clear way to view the game. And I don't think that this hero is going to be changing that. They may be able to fit it in, but I expect Valiant to be running a lot more echo than Atlanta.
Heard it here first. Atlanta is able to fit it in. Okay. The next one. So this is interesting. Eric just put this in the chat. So Shock versus Outlaws.
Sure.
Currently at 73-27 odds. Before Sinatraa announced leaving, it was actually 78-22. So it shifted 5 percentage points based on a player who wasn't playing.
Who wasn't even
Thoughts?
playing? Like what?
Lend me your thoughts.
Like, I guess like if you're just viewing it as like an asset loss, like sure, but it wasn't really even being used because of like motivational reasons and whatnot that we discussed at the head of the show. Like whatever, I guess. I mean, Shock's just gonna win. Madness. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's again Houston. Team that probably will be running a good amount of echo if I had to guess. San Francisco, not as rigid, not as kind of what's the word? They're not necessarily not going to run echo. That doesn't make much sense, but hopefully you get the message. not like Atlanta, not kind of stuck in the mud. They're not like kind of within that box.
So
Like
they
can play a lot of different things.
Dante or Blase plays Echo?
I
I feel like Dante might just have a nuts Echo.
Yeah, I mean,
Like he's just kind of the player to just like have.
Yeah, Dante won that tournament. Yeah, I'd probably have to say Dante. I wouldn't doubt that Blase has like a mean Echo as well.
Yeah.
I think it'll depend on what they need piloted next to the Echo. Because I think both of them have like a competent Echo. And Dante might be stronger on Echo. But if the co-pilot, right, to kind of fit the analogy, can't run what's asked of him, then it'll have to shift to kind of
I
fit.
didn't even think about hydration. Could be hydration too. I mean,
Maybe.
They just have like these 3 really intriguing like flex players, like people who not only just flex across multiple heroes.
Got some role switchers
in their role, but they'll actually switch outside of the role, which is really interesting. But yeah, this has to go San Francisco, right? I think 75-25 sounds about right. Let's go on to the next one really quick. Philadelphia Fusion versus the Paris Eternal. 75-25 Fusion.
Yep. It's about right.
Maybe
can't really,
slightly higher, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say higher. I feel like I'm around there.
An Exilus Paris, dude, I have no faith.
Yeah, not.
I mean, I don't have faith, but 75, bro, that's a lot of fucking percent. Whoops.
You missed that one.
There goes our monetization.
Well, we did it again, boys.
Subs in chat, please.
Happens.
Subs in chat. Because we're not getting anything from YouTube this week.
But
speaking, chat mentioned Sparkle's coming up, yeah? Like his birthday's
when is that? Wait, when is that?
Let's see. I'll look.
Oh, come on. Stop with the
Bing,
colon
bing,
Ds.
bing.
We've got May 31st, so end of the month. He'll turn 18.
By end, you mean beginning?
Wait, is he eligible for the? Is he eligible for the
May Matt?
John, is he eligible for the end of the
May Madness?
There we go. We got there. Just in time to not be part of May Madness.
Is he?
That's hard to do.
No,
he'll be like eligible by like the end. So Paris has to like get through to the end, and then he can come in.
Ooh,
does kind of open up an interesting storyline. Hopefully, and again,
happens.
Maybe chat can correct me if I'm missing some sort of detail, but
he also has the sickest echo. You already know. You already know.
All right. Jeez, we're not going down this road. Anyways, okay. Yeah, definitely Philly.
But it is Philly, but it's like 65.
I'd say 75. Or I'd say 70. I'd say 70-30. Like this is like the max I'd go. It's not that Paris is a bad team, but Philly's a good team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, possibly the best, right?
I want to debate.
At least arguably in the West.
I want to debate that further, but we can't. We just don't have time.
This week's tough. This week is hard.
This next match isn't hard at all, though.
The Boston Uprising.
There's nothing hard about this match.
The Boston Uprising want to redeem themselves after an abysmal 25-minute match against the Florida Mayhem last week. They're going at it again. They're favored 78-22. 78 for Florida Mayhem, 22 for the Boston Uprising. Man, I
mean, the way to redeem themselves is give us a little bit more of that sick, like mid-serious coach player talk.
Yeah. Let's hear how they. Let me hear the
thumbs up. By the way,
give me a halftime of last match. Tie them together. Create a story here. This is the rematch of Florida Boston. Last halftime, Mineral said this. Will they kind of act on that coaching this set? Who knows? Back to you, John. Boom! I set it up for you.
I was reading chat.
It's all good.
I was reading chat.
That's when Color Hex comes in and delivers on the promise. by having completely consumed all the powers and life force of Leaf.
Here's kind of the bummer thing about not having hero pools every like 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's like normally this would be like a coaching matchup, right?
Sure,
You're like, how
do you
can
adapt?
Mineral and his squad adapt? And now you're like, well, how can they adapt? How is Mineral going to adapt? And then also account for Echo and also account for these 4 heroes who got played last week, but also now can't be played. And now you're like, it's just tough to like attribute the improvement.
There's a lot of asterisks. You gotta give everything right now.
Big,
It's rough.
fat, thick asterisks.
Exactly. To that point, we look at Florida for a moment. You know, we've talked enough about Boston. Let's look at Florida. Their first qualifier against the Boston Uprising. I think everybody's in agreement. They probably win there, right? Next week, Sunday, last match of the weekend, we have the Florida Mayhem versus the Titans. Interesting. We'll discuss that more in depth that week's Wednesday. And then Florida plays the Justice. My question to the panel, how likely is it that the Florida Mayhem makes it to Mayhem Madness? In what seed, maybe? Maybe that's a better question. I think it's very likely. I think most people would agree that's probably very likely. But in what position?
I don't.
These games
I don't have
seem
this bracket memorized. What? So
no, you don't have to. But
if they win all 3, what?
Sure.
What
do you
does that
think
put
they'll
them
win
in?
all 3?
No, I don't think so.
Who do they lose to?
You're gonna hate me for it, but I actually don't think they're. I still don't think that they're in a place that they beat Vancouver.
Do we know what's happening with Vancouver?
No, but we don't assume that they're all of a sudden a bottom
No, we
5
don't.
team.
Yeah.
We don't assume that they're going to immediately lose. But would you not agree that match could be close depending on what happens?
Yeah, it could be.
Sure, but I'm not going to bet against Vancouver in that situation right now,
but
given the information I have.
You
Sure,
dude,
sure. I
you
agree.
gotta
Like,
understand.
You can give
John,
Hacksaw a controller as long as he's playing. Like
John,
you
you
but
gotta
he's not,
understand.
though.
That's what
I
I'm
know,
saying.
But you know what I'm saying.
John, you gotta understand. Joe is the conspiracy theorist of Overwatch analysts and predictions. He sniffs out like the Earth in Vancouver is flat, boys. But by the way, there was a thread on Reddit saying like, is it weird to anyone else that Sinatraa retires while the UFO information is coming out?
That's the best take.
This is your burner account. You can tell. This is 100% him.
I wish. That's hilarious.
So he's like, but maybe if the Titans just just wait. Let's just wait.
100%.
What happens there?
But okay, let's say that they lose against the Titans. You're already 2-1 against teams that you probably can easily 3-0. This team has gotten gifted.
You have flip-flop and whiplashed on the Florida Mayhem so fast. I don't even know who you are.
No.
Yes.
The Boston Uprising are the worst team in the league.
The Boston Uprising are the worst team in the league. I agree.
And where's the Justice?
Second to third worst.
Okay. Doesn't make Florida Mayhem a good team, but they can surely wallop on these two teams.
I think Florida could lose to Washington.
Case in point.
I think Florida could lose to Washington on the right band on the right band week.
I just
Welcome
don't
to
think
Overwatch League.
I don't think
I don't think they can win against Vancouver.
No, they can't. They can't win against Vancouver. I don't.
They might
unless they end up signing these 2 academy teams, and the rest of them is gone. In which case, it's not.
I'm not
Vancouver
ruling out
anymore.
anything.
But
I'm not ruling out anything.
But that's not Vancouver anymore. It's like
I agree. I agree.
Guy.
That's not runaway.
But I do think that the Washington Justice could in the right.
Look into it. That's all I gotta say.
This guy is on an Ancient Aliens Corona binge run. Like I'm not having this is contagious. I'm just going like
you might want to.
Okay. Keep going.
Shouldn't misuse masks like that.
I have a YouTube video that you should watch. I'm just saying you got to look in. That's all I got to say. Look into it.
You don't think that there's a world where the Washington Justice beat the Florida Mayhem?
No, that.
This guy.
Wait, that definitely can happen. I'm talking about Vancouver.
No, nobody's talking. Joe's not talking about Vancouver.
No, I'm not
Joe
talking
is
about
an idiot.
Yeah.
Like Joe.
But look into it. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not gonna happen.
I feel safer.
I
feel
won't
much
even
safer
allow
now.
it.
Thank you.
Normally,
thank you.
as a host on this show, normally my job is to just let the opinions flow, reframe where possible, and keep the show moving.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody here is going to say that the Florida Mayhem are going to beat Vancouver on this show. Let me say
this. Look at this heck, like kid's eyes. This is nuts. Oh my!
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
This man is about to have another avatar
next week.
Look.
Tune in next week. We gotta find out. I gotta see the YouTube. I gotta look into it more.
Will the Boston Uprising or the Florida Mayhem defeat a Vancouver Titans that we don't even know is on planet Earth anymore? Tune in.
Great question.
Next week on May Madness. We're done. That's it.
Here we go. We got it all out. Are we all juiced now? Can we all think clearly now? This
is what analysis of NA Overwatch looks
Florida
and
is not
like.
going to make madness.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
With 2-1 with like a decent map record? Like genuinely?
Yeah, because
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with Yiska.
How does it? I like depend. It sets a seed, right? Like it's not like about a qualification. They're not going to make it far in Mad.
Of course. Again, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're going to go deep in the tournament. I'm saying qualification. They might set themselves up to have a high seed.
Okay, I haven't looked
is
into
also
this. But isn't everyone qualified and they just start playing? So
it's a battle for seed.
17th seed. So there's no qualification, right?
You're fighting for the seed. This is what this week's for.
3 weeks are for.
Yeah, these first 3 weeks you're battling for the seed.
But
everybody
cannot
gets
not make it there.
All right, chat.
Sure.
I owe everybody listening, watching the show. I owe you an apology.
We should be knowing this.
I expected your co-hosts to know how the May Madness.
Tell me how
I
May
thought
Madness
I did, and then this guy started like looking at corn.
I mean, I can't tell you what seed they're gonna place in at 2-1, but I can tell you there's 3 weeks of seeding. Damn.
Yeah, and they're going to win 100%. Like that's just what's happening. But this guy thinks it's 3-0, and this is
I'm
getting
just
me off my
saying
chair.
There could be a 3-0. I'm not saying there will be. I'm saying there could be. That's all I'm saying, man. Man, you just gotta look into it, man.
All right,
we stuck around way too long on this crash.
let's go to the Asia games. There's a few good ones in here. We're gonna talk. So Seoul Dynasty versus Guangzhou. So Seoul was embarrassed by Shanghai last weekend. Has tempered the expectations a notch here. Are they at a place where they don't just stomp Guangzhou though?
No, I think Shanghai is just like clearly the best pack team, and again, it was an early role to kind of look at Seoul and say if they can keep that same pedigree that they had in some of their Western games, that they could be the best team in the world. Losing to Shanghai is not like lost any respect for that team, or really drop them in terms of power all that much. I think it's just moved Shanghai up. I think this is like a clear Seoul victory.
Fair. Let's talk about this next one though. It may not be as interesting as we want it to be, but maybe it is. NYXL versus Shanghai. So just before Joe says his predictions, he'll never vote for NYXL again. That's not against Chengdu. But
it's true.
Shanghai Dragons Yiska. Obviously, I would say a pretty heavy favorite for best team in the league right now, if not, close to tied with, like, you can make an argument like Philly. Yeah. Right? Like, we haven't seen him play. How do we see him? Blah, blah, blah. I can see the argument. But more than likely, if you're watching Overwatch League right now, it's Shanghai, Philly Shock-ish, maybe. And then, Seoul is probably in there somewhere. And then you have NYXL probably leading the top of the the next tier. But you do have NYXL here. They did go with a decisive 2-0 last week.
Yeah.
In the standings, they've got a .815 map win percentage. They're 7-1. You know, they definitely haven't played the toughest opponents, but they're starting to now that they're in Asia.
Yeah.
The current odds, I think, on this one are 61-39 in favor of the Shanghai Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about this match in general? Any world in which we see an NYXL upset here? Are you gonna Chengdu Joe us? Chengdu Bob us here on this one?
No way. No, that's not gonna happen. I think it is an interesting match. Certainly, I think it will be better than Joe believes, mainly because Joe hates
I hope it's
NYXL
not
now.
bad. I hope it's a good game. This week's full of what looks like duds.
Yeah, then again, it could very well be the case that, I mean, we thought last week it's all going to be sick games, and then it wasn't. But yeah, on paper, I think this match could deliver. I'm not sure what the Nene situation is. But yeah, generally, there's no way where Shanghai isn't favored in this one. And of course, there's a lot of volatility, but I trust Shanghai to bring it here. Yeah, I think I think teams will be trying out Echo in scrims a little bit,
of course,
and then I'm not sure if it's going to take over every map, and for that volatility factor is relatively limited in comparison to every other hero pool.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that's a Shanghai 65%.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I'd agree with those odds. Yeah, Shanghai looks very, very strong. I think Echo. Another thing about Echo is I think it will be regional, and I kind of expect Pac to be a little bit more creative in that sense. They have been obviously in the past with the advent of Rush, but even with that, Shanghai is very clearly like the best team in Pac right now in Asia. So yeah, expect them to do well against New York.
All right, 2 more matches left. Seoul Dynasty versus the Hangzhou Spark. No world in which Seoul is this one, right?
Yeah, no.
Seoul is a clear cut above the rest besides Shanghai, right? It's just kind of like that's the way it's going to go for a while.
I would like to see Seoul, New York.
Oh, that's true.
That one would be interesting.
I keep forgetting that they're over, man. I keep forgetting they're in Asia now.
There's no blame there. Because there have been, you got Titans moving back and forth, and you got Seoul moving back and forth.
Right, because Titans are back now. They're back at Atlantic.
Yeah, they're back NA. Yeah.
Jesus.
Look into it, man. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough. Anyways, yeah. So Seoul, Hangzhou, I don't think there's much to discuss there. But Joe, coming real close here.
I might have to be a bummer, guys.
I know
everybody wants me to say Chengdu, but we all saw what happened last week.
I think I want to just
sweet talk you a little bit. Just want to come in close, baby.
Jesus Christ, he's going full XLR here.
Chengdu versus NYXL. Last week,
I made a big oopsie.
He made an oopsie doopsie.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, have you seen, so on Netflix, it's Thomas Middleditch and Ben Schwartz.
Nope.
They do a stand-up special, but it's like, it's improv. It's so funny. Grab some alcohol and watch it, and it's so freaking funny.
Kind of like this game.
Ice Ham Jello gets it. It's so, oh man. Anyways. Back to this match though. You made the
I can't predict Chengdu.
You made the oopsie doopsie against. We
already established it as much.
So
yeah, you can't predict them.
Any chance you want to double down?
No, 0.
I will. Let you host the show.
Not 0. I'll give you. I'll say like 5%. Like this is like not. This does not strike. This Hunter squad does not strike me as a team that's going to beat the NY.
There's no
What
such
I
thing.
am
It's 5%
looking
in
at-
hero pools, my dude.
Whatever. What I am looking at is I want to see Chengdu buy back into their identity. Their identity is about playing to their strengths. Their identity is playing a specific style and not the meta. They've never been good at the meta. They weren't good in the meta in GOATs. They weren't good in the meta in any of these hero pools for the most part. They always had to have their kind of flair, their kind of spin on it that kind of threw teams off. I want to see them pick up Echo. I want to see them field their correct roster and not run around and play these, why is Langsa playing Ana, or, why is Vettel playing Ana? Like none of this stuff. Last week was it was a bad performance against a better team. I can feasibly say that now as Chengdu Bob, right? I am looking to this team to become or to return to their identity, though. I don't think they'll win, even if that. And NYXL should again take another quick W.
Unlockers know that in this week where they would have to bring it back and had sort of like a shell shock moment, Hammond and Mercy are banned.
See, that's the thing. I don't think Ball in particular was really going to do much for them. I think New York dealt with their ball last week very, very well. They had that on lock. They had a very good read on that. You saw what happened. Amin couldn't really do much with the consistent pressure that New York kind of drafted. This isn't like a haha wrecking ball's banned, Chengdu's gonna lose. No, I mean that's a one trick that's out. That's the ace up their sleeve that's left on the table. They don't have that kind of card anymore. People are like willing and know how to deal with that now. It's not as simple as just saying wrecking ball. You've got other heroes that this team does pilot very well. It's just finding a way for them to work. We've seen teams do it. We saw Houston do it last week. I want to see Chengdu kind of return to that before we even get back on any kind of Chengdu bobbery. So yeah, New York all the way.
All right, you heard it here. New York all the way from Mr. Chengdu himself, Chengdu Bob. It was it's kind of unfortunate. I feel like Chengdu and Boston this week are holding hands after having to play rematches against teams that just stomped them. It's just like, you know what? Go through it again. It's like the gauntlet. It's just like run through. It's like you go through the car wash and it like dings your mirrors. You're like, we get to go through again, bitch. So we'll see if any surprises come from. There's usually always. I've been kind of keeping track of how the odds do and how we usually line up. And this week it feels really like the spreads are farther away than ever. Outside of Fuel versus Justice, I think is the only like close one. But there's usually still one or two just upsets. So we'll have to see if this is another week for one of those, but it is time to roll on out of here. Before we do, first, chat, you're the best. Appreciate the hell out of you for being here. I'll say it very briefly. We're working towards partner on Twitch, and when you are here live, it helps us do that. We stayed well over 75 viewers. Concurrent viewers for the show, and thank you, and stay as long as you can. It helps us. The longer we can stay at above 75, the better. So, even if you have to get up and leave or whatever, just like leave it on. I don't care. Appreciate. Now, yes, Homebound 11, best chat ever. Appreciate you all a ton. I didn't get my email. Patreon's been having some weird issues. So if there were new patrons, I didn't get them, and I checked today and they weren't updated, but there might be. I will update you on Monday. I'm not ignoring you. Big thank you to that. And a big thank you to our patron producers: Battle Crab Pin Lotion, Charlie L Audio Compass, Pork Chop, Sammy, Kasha 67, Kushi Kopi, Salsa Boy 91, Shara Picasso, Naftali, Your Misery, Battle Crab Pin Lotion, Charlie L Audio Compass, Pork Chop, Sammy, Kasha 67, Kushi Kopi, Salsa Boy 91, Shara Picasso, Naftali, Your Misery. Twice.
Damn.
We did it. You can try adding to that every week by going to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch if you want to support the show. We have game nights going on. We've got a cool role in Discord. That's discord.me/Yiska out. You can join us for conversations there. And we're really pretty active in there when questions come up. So you can definitely be a part of that. And, if you want to go, kind of all in on that, we'll read your name on every show as a patron producer. So definitely go check those tiers out. If you're like, hey, how else can I support? You can sub right here, twitch.tv/KickedTripod. But especially if you're like, you know what? I can't give you money right now. I totally get it. We totally get it. Best ways you can do that right now is number one, tune in for our live shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon. Even if you can't be there actively, if the tab's there and open, it helps a ton in helping us get partnered over the next few weeks. And then also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star iTunes review. We'll read your name on the show. And if you leave something funny, I'll make Yiska read it or Joe read it. Who knows? Could be either. Whew. All right, let's go ahead and get out of here. Before we do, though, Yiska, shout outs for the week and where people can find you. I did see that you posted a beautiful farewell letter to Sinatraa this morning.
Thank you. Yeah. That one hit different to write. Took a while. Took a couple of tissues. Also because the play was so good in Stage 2 finals. Double tissue. Otherwise, yeah, I'm going to have a couple of other things that I want to address, just like in the situation in Overwatch. Expect another Overwatch piece from me this week. And let's, for once, hear Yiska not spout gloom and gloom, but like when everyone's like, it's boring. Like my personality type is contrarian in a sense, but it's also like a feeling of counterbalance of the current narratives. And I think there are things to look forward to. As always, GG Recon and my Twitter @Yiska.
Joe, what about you, man? Shoutouts for the week. Where can people find you?
On all the socials. that is true.
You're German.
I think that's more of like a heritage that you can't deny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all everywhere. It's same every week. You can find me at Volamel. Tomorrow, I believe, we'll have a little bit more in-depth look at Echo in the meta for week 13 over at GG Recon. And then on the Valorant side of things, just did an interview with the head coach from Ninjas in Pajamas that have been doing well in Europe. So there's that out there on Esports 7. And yeah, more analysis for some early Valorant stuff coming out on GG Recon. But yeah, that's about it for this week.
Do you want a really quick German phrase of the week?
Give me a German word of the day.
Yeah,
okay.
My shout outs. Yeah.
No. Like if I know that you cruise into the show ending in your
my shout outs.
Shout outs, so
Just
yeah, fucking.
I'm right in the.
Oops. So, right. Trennungsschmerz is a noun that you
shorter
use.
words.
Trennungsschmerz. Trennungsschmerz is a word that you use when you break up with someone or when you go apart. It might be just like when you're leaving for the night, or it might be when you actually broke up with someone. I think that's the mood at the moment. Trennungsschmerz.
Can you say it really slowly?
Trennungsschmerz.
Oh yeah, I guess you do pronounce it.
Very good. Close enough. Very good.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good.
Very fair enough. All right. As for me, you can find me everywhere at KickedTripod, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Make sure to tune in to our Valorant podcast. Spike Drop records Fridays at noon Pacific at twitch.tv/KickedTripod. And you can also go to bit.ly/SpikeDropYT. That's going to do it for us. So thank you again, everybody, for hanging out. We're going to be right back after the music to just hang out with you, answer some questions until we get close to dropping below 75 viewers. And then we're going to cut it. And then, so stick around, have fun. And thanks again. See you soon.